At 4:30 this morning, I woke up and I was like, if any of you have failed to understand what I've tried to communicate, it's 100% my fault. It has nothing to do with you. And then I just decided I would try to make the whole thing as clear as I possibly could. And I hope that it will be helpful not only today as you're doing presentations, or worrying about doing presentations, as it were, but every day forward from here on out. So I put this little talk together. It's going to be super lo-fi. I just sketched it on my little notebook. And we'll see where we end up. So the general idea is to become who you are, which is a really weird thing to say, right? Because you always are who you are. But there's this fun little joke. There's this old fish swimming. He says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the little fish is like, "What the hell is water? What's he talking about?" They can't see, they don't know the thing that they're in and surrounded by all the time. Even though it's obvious to the older fish, right? So there's this great quote by Albert Einstein. He says, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb trees, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. So that's kind of something that we do as humans all the time, right? Like, we compare ourselves to other people, to other ideas of who we think we should be or how we think we should be living. And even when we ask each other, how are you doing? Someone says, "I'm great." And really inside they're freaking out. But we hear, "Oh, they're great." And then we think, "Well, I'm not doing great, but they're doing great. Everyone around me is okay, but I'm not okay." And so that's the general thing that I was trying to communicate, right? Like, you're stuck inside your head, and your mind is trying to make the world okay, but it sure doesn't feel okay in there. So the analogy that I have for this is, imagine that you're watching a movie, right? And whenever there's something scary in a movie, you feel scared. Like, your body, just from the light and the sound alone, 2 senses, your body gets stressed, Or if it's boring, your body gets bored. And if it's romantic, you feel whatever it is you feel when you're watching a romantic movie. If it's exciting, you get excited. Like, our body, our whole system shifts chemically, like physical responses to just light and sound. And the world that we're in is bombarding us with all of our senses, all at once. So, no matter what happens, it's all in your head, right? You're experiencing the world inside of you, and that's why you can tell people you're doing great, and you can be freaking out at the same time, and nobody's really going to know, and it's kind of creating a world of appearances, right? And everybody's doing this all the time. And we all have something inside our brains that is trying to process the world, and kind of like a narrator inside of our little personal movie. And what the Enneagram, what I was trying to communicate with that is that all of us have like a different director in there, right? Like, for a 1, the narrator is saying, like, do the right thing. For a 2, it's be there for others. For a 3, always do your best. 4, care deeply about the world. Be original, make new things. For a 5, it's like, try to understand everything. Create science. For a 6, question everything. Decide who you're following and why. Should this government be in charge? I don't know. Let's go get pickaxes. 7 is like, enjoy everything. Like, literally try to do everything there is in the world to be done. For an 8, it's be strong, be a great leader, act responsibly, care for others. And for a 9, it's see the good in everyone and make sure that we're all coming together as a people. And as you can see, each one of these things is a very noble thing. And it's planted inside our brains. It's a little seed, and it's always trying to grow. And so each of us sees the world, sees our little movie, as if this message were the most important thing. And we're always trying to convince each other to see it our way too. But who's ever heard feedback from a microphone? That sound? Like when someone's speaking on stage? What that is the microphone picking up its own sound. And it creates a feedback loop, and it goes faster and faster and faster until it makes a really high-pitched sound. And that same thing is happening in our own minds, right? That little voice in your head that we made say hello earlier in the week, that voice gets amplified when we pay attention to it. And it gets louder and louder and louder, and things feel crazier and crazier and crazier inside our heads. And so if you just stop listening to it, that sound will just go away. And everything will be fine. So what I want you to consider is that you can always distance yourself from this movie that's in your head, that's scary or fun or sad or amazing or whatever. Like, those voices are just repeating, and that feedback is happening. But you can step back and realize that you don't control almost anything in the world. Like, who can control their breathing? We can all kind of do it, right? But when you stop focusing on it, it just keeps happening. You can't control the way that your mind is working. You can't control your heartbeat. You're not making your body grow from being a little baby to being a huge human being. But it's all happening, and it's all amazing. And we basically have, like, early Nintendo level controls. We can do directions and A, B, select, start, like very minimal controls in a very complex world. And we're here, we're in it, we made it. There's this huge span of time and all kinds of life that led to us, exactly us, with just our fingerprints that no one else has in the whole world. And so no matter if anyone else is doing something that you want to do, if you touch it, your fingerprints are on it, and you have made your mark on the world, your own unique mark that no one else can make. And for all time to get to right now, 99.99% of everything that ever existed before today, every single species is now extinct. So we're living in this one little slice of time. We get our brief little flash of life, and then we're gone, just like everything else. So I keep asking you to say, who am I? Who am I? This is like, who's seen Vanilla Sky? Tom Cruise movie? Pretty weird? All right, at some point, he freaks out, and he just yells at this guy, "Tech support!" And he's doing that because he realizes he's inside of a simulation in his mind that he paid to get into. And if he yells for tech support, a person will appear and just be like, "I'm here, what's the problem? We can make this simulation better for you." And so that's essentially what this question is a way to step back from that chatter, from all the signals and input, and just kind of calm you down and center you. And realize, like, oh, I'm not my job, I'm not my grades, I'm not my major, I'm not anything that's outside of me, even though we get caught up in those things. And so this question is like a boat. It gets you from here to there, to cross this noisy chasm of the mind. And so you should take that boat. You should get in it and go from shore to shore. But once you've made it to the other shore, leave it there. Forget about it. Because the point of a boat is not to carry it on land with you after you've taken your journey. It's you can send it back, someone else can use it. So just realize this question is a way to calm your mind down. If your mind is like a pool of water, if it's calm, it's going to reflect perfectly whatever's around it, right? But you can't calm water by rippling it, by asking more questions and making more things happen. But if you just stop, it will calm itself down. And so that's what I'm trying to communicate. If you ask who you are, you can take the boat across it, and then you can leave that alone, and who you are will naturally rise to the surface. Yourself will become calm, your mind will become calm, and reality will be reflected in you. You can relax and trust that the intelligence that's powering your mind and beating your heart and turning hamburgers into a human being is always going to be working, just like it has since the day you were born. It turned you from a tiny little microscopic thing into a big, full-grown human being out here in the world. So if you ask this question, who am I, who am I, who am I, you get down to, I'm me. And just like Lou Raja said, I am Hitler, I am Mao, I am Bob Marley, I'm Martin Luther King Jr. That's a really weird thing to say. But ultimately what he's saying is I'm human. I'm just like everyone else. I have a bunch of garbage in my head, but I'm still great. So remember, you're here, life is queer, get used to it. And that will help you to become who you are and realize that this is water, this world that we're living in. We're human fish and we're hanging out in our water, and that's really all there is to it. Thank you for that applause. Makes it worth it to have gotten up this early.